But it's you know the amount of expertise that is required. Under the dirty water, you are searching for the pocket and the pouch. You have to immerse it at exactly the correct level. Women do this, and that's how you get the image of women always bent over in the field. It's called an unskilled activity. Try it and see how unskilled, how skilled it is and what skill it requires. We removed the bargaining power of the female gender and of the poorest workers by classifying agricultural labor as unskilled. Yeah. But we give people skills which will enable them to drive an auto rickshaw. There is no greater skill than the production of food on which the human race depends. But we remove, today, the surveys of the National Sample Survey shows us that 40% of farmers would like to quit farming immediately. I say that's an underestimate because you're taking it across all farmers. If you restricted that survey to under 30 years of age, it would be 80%. Not because farming is terrible, but because we have made it unviable. What were the policies? What was the policy crisis? There is a gigantic credit crisis. There was a huge shift from food crop to cash crop without thinking of the vulnerability of these farmers. There was a thing called let markets rule, let market prices preside, which simply turned out to be a price gouging exercise for companies and corporations selling seeds and fertilizer and stuff. In Andhra Pradesh, up to 2004, they were so shameless, they were charging, normally it is always common in India that the farmer is given 90 days credit by the input dealer because that is the season of the cycle of the season. So you're a farmer, you come to me, I give you the inputs, you have 75 to 90 days in which to repay all over Godavari and anywhere, in Vidarbha, anywhere, that's the system. This changes with hyper-commercialization. Now, on those 90 days, I charge you 2% per month interest on the total purchase of your inputs. It is illegal, but they were so brazen, they started printing it on the bills. We collected those bills and published them. Then in 2004, the government cracked down on it in Andhra Pradesh. It went off the bill, but it happens under the table, the payment. Now, when the so-called market-based prices came in, at the very prices went up by 300 to 700% in the case of different inputs. Seed prices. Take Vidarbha. Native seed, local seed. Everybody got their own seed. If you're a cotton grower, you got your seed from your cotton. I don't know if many of you are aware of this, but 65% of the weight of a pound of cotton is the seed. 65% of the weight of cotton is in the seed. That seed is taken out for various, you can do oils with it, you can do other things with it, you can feed animals with it, all that sort of stuff. But once the BT seed came in, Monsanto's BT seed, you could not reuse the same seed. Each season you have to buy from the market anew. Because it's a hybrid, it cannot be renewed by the farmer. And if it is renewable by the farmer, you will be sued for royalties. For centuries, farmers have had control over their seeds. Now they don't. Each season they go back. Let me tell you the price. When you bought native seed in Vidarbha in the 1980s, it used to be 9 rupees per kilogram. Then with the Green Revolution and the hybrids, it became 350 rupees for 450 grams. Do you know only in India we sell this packet of 450 grams because of the influence of American royalties and companies. 450 grams is 1 pound. Okay? Anywhere else in the world you have 500 grams, right? You would have a kilogram, but we sell 450 grams in a packet. Then that 450 grams packet began to cost 300, 350 rupees, 400. Then BT came. In Andhra and Maharashtra, 2001, 2003, they were in 2003 and 2004, they were charging 1,650 rupees to 1,800 rupees per bag of 1 pound, 450 grams of seed. Now, if 450 grams cost 1,800, then 1 kilogram costs 4,000 rupees. From 9 rupees per kilogram to 4,000 rupees. What did that do to the economy of the farmer? Then pesticide prices rose, doubled, multiplied.
How many do you need for 1 acre? How many kilograms?
It depends on what your crop is. Say in cotton, for instance, you need, the claim of Monsanto is that you need 1 bag per acre. But minimum that the farmers are using is 2 bags per acre. They don't feel it works otherwise.
Yeah, it's because it is red soil and black soil.
Black soil.
Red soil you need to do closer sowing.
Yeah. But there is also an influence of green revolution ideas, and farmers use, in my opinion, in some places, more seed than is necessary.
Yes.
Just as some places they use more water than is necessary. But officially what the Monsanto says is, BT, by the way, requires a hell of a lot more water than traditional seed. Anything that is exotic is always going to need more water than what is born of your soil.
And if water is not there, they do double, triple sowing, because
Yeah.
if the rain is not
Yeah.
there, they have to do multiple sowings.
When your crop fails in the first sowing, you go back and you buy those inputs all over again. You're not going to get a concession. The prices will be higher because it's distress buying. Now, at the very time that the prices exploded like this, we took credit away from the farmer. You know, whatever we think of the Green Revolution, you know, whether it was a bane or a boon or whatever, it could not have happened without nationalization of banks and taking of credit to the small farmer. Because of that, you had an explosion of production in certain years. In India, when India became independent, and as late as 1960, 85% of all bank branches were in urban areas. And urban areas were very small then. 85% of branches were in urban areas, and less than 15% were in rural areas. But after the bank nationalization, in 1993-94, 60% of branches were in rural areas and 40% in urban areas. Then we started the new reforms and the new economic policies. Rural banking collapsed. Thousands of branches, 1,600 branches at a minimum closed. Another 2,000 branches closed. The bank says, no, that was just merger of and reclassification as urban from rural, but at a minimum, 1,600 branches shut down. Now, in the 2007 period, there was some recovery. Professor Abhijit Sen was on the planning commission. He did certain things. There was a certain movement back. But now that has been undone. They are carrying out banking in these unbanked areas through what is called a business correspondent. This is your new money lender. He'll come around to you and ask you what you need. And by the way, 250 rupees is the minimum you will pay that guy for any bloody transaction. And they are saying more and more people are covered. Last year they announced 170 million new bank accounts have been opened under Janadan. So I did a calculation. In the year that they say they opened, if you calculate, it means they were opening 6 accounts per second. Just calculate them. 170 million accounts, six accounts per second you'd have to open to reach anywhere near that figure. Most people on whose names accounts were opened don't know that there's an account in their name up to last year. Now with the demonetization, people have become aware. By the way, all over Osmanabad, Suresh, all over Bid, bigger landowners were opening accounts in the names of their agricultural laborers from Marathwada, from Uttar Pradesh, from Telangana. Now, I can keep putting money in your account. I can also take money out of your account because your ATM card is with me. Okay, I will put your salary in the bank, but your ATM card is with me. I can clean you out at any time. That was another thing that came up in the demonetization. A hell of a lot of things happened. But coming back to the policy. So the credit crisis. Oh yes, let me tell you one more thing. Every finance minister, Pranab, now sitting in Rashtrapati Bhavan, Chidambaram, Arun Jaitley, every one of them will tell you, we doubled agricultural credit, we trebled agricultural credit. They are telling you the truth, except that the agricultural credit didn't go to the farmer. And there's a very simple way of looking at it. Several people have worked on bank credit from RBI data, including Professor R. Ramakumar of Tata Institute of Social Sciences. What does it show? The data from 2000 to about 2007 or 8 show that the smallest loans collapsed. Who takes loans of below 50,000? The most marginal farmer. Who takes loans of below 2 lakhs? Very small farmers. Loans below 50,000 and 2 lakhs collapsed to about half. What were the loans that doubled and trebled? 1 crore and about 10 crore. Now, how many peasants do you know taking 10 crore loans? I know 2. One is called Mukesh and the other is called Anil.
And Sharad Pawar.
One is called Sharad, yes. Yeah. So all these gigantic loans were not being taken by farmers. And now they're being taken by corporations. Birla, Birla, Reliance, everybody is into agriculture with Birla Agro, Reliance Fresh, Godrej Natural. A word of advice to you. Never buy any product which says natural or fresh because it means it's been frozen for 3 months. Your street vendor, she doesn't have the capacity. She is selling you fresh and natural food because if she doesn't sell it by the evening, she'll have to throw it. Maximum she can sit on it is 2-3 days, perishable foods. These guys, because they are, we get our vegetables in my flat in Mumbai from a lady who comes with 35 kilos on her head. And she is telling us that it's getting more and more difficult to get because the wholesalers are going to the corporations. We keep talking about the wicked middleman. The wicked middleman is very often, Suresh, a poor woman in Dadar sitting on the street and selling vegetables. The middleman chain, there are nearly 9 people between the product, between the farm and my table, and Onion has 9 intermediaries. Some of those intermediaries are very poor people, and some of them are extremely rapacious agents, like the local Sahukar. But all that is now being eliminated. The new Sahukars come wearing Armanis and Gucci's. Yeah? The new money lender. The old money lender, he was rooted in the village. The village could put pressure on him because he was also tending to be a farmer. The new money lender doesn't give a damn about it. It's very hard to put pressure on him. He's sitting in some town. So it's gotten much worse, and you can see the National Sample Survey data shows us that the number of households in debt doubled between 1991 and 2002. From 26% of all households to 48.6%. Even that is a huge underestimate. Okay. So you've had a crisis of credit, a crisis of employment, a crisis of water, all driven by a crisis of policy where people get to decide what the price of an agricultural good is without any input from the farmer. Now, we had a gigantic commission headed by Professor M.S. Swaminathan, which made several recommendations to the government of India. In 2007, the report was submitted to Parliament. From that day to 2017, the report has never been discussed in Parliament. No government permits that report to be discussed. The first recommendation is on pricing, cost of production plus 50%. That is the first recommendation of the M.S. Swaminathan. Yeah, mind you, he was called the father of the Green Revolution, so they gave him this job as chairman of National Farmers Commission and hated it when he gave these recommendations because they don't want to do that. Increasingly, now they have started FPOs, farmers and producers. So Birla is running many FPOs. Reliance is running many FPOs. There's a government program called the Million Farmer Program, where you can actually see allocations. There are 40,000 Reliance farmers, 30,000, and by the way, farmers of ITC, Kolkata, so some MBA from Wharton working for ITC Kolkata is going to Tamil Nadu to teach farmers in South Tamil Nadu how to grow ragi better. Okay? His expertise is going to go into the growth of a millet that those people have grown for only 3,000 years. You are seeing the day by day, hour by hour shift in power of farming from farmer to corporation, from community to corporation. Now this has had a devastating impact also on women farmers. 65% of all work done in agriculture in India is done by women. 65%. But we never recognize women as farmers because their names are, because of conventional property rights in Indian societies, very few women have their name on a farming patta. Very few women. So what happens? There are very large numbers of women farmers' suicides. They are not counted as farmers' suicides. They are counted as women's suicides. And you have a lot of stupid stuff. Brookings puts out some silly paper saying number of women's suicides higher than farmers' suicides. How can you compare a gender and an occupation? How do you compare a gender and an occupation?
But there's also a slight subtle message that women are not farmers.
Yeah, it's actually more than subtle, sir. It's saying, what it's saying is that women can't be farmers and farmers can't be women. When you say that women's suicides are, a hell of a lot of those women's suicides are farmers' suicides. And then there are agrarian distress suicides. I have been to houses where a young girl, 14, 15, 16, commits suicide. Why? It gets classified as a student suicide. You know what happened to that girl in Anantapur or in Ramanathapuram? What happens to that girl? The agrarian crisis destroys her family. They don't have money. They've got a boy and a girl in college or school. What do? They pull the girl out. The boy is a very average student. The girl is a class topper. She is top of her school, she is top of her class. Yeah? She is taken out. 2 months later, she commits suicide. How is it going to be classified? Student suicide. She didn't commit suicide because she failed in the exams. For God's sake, no. She did. She committed suicide because she was a bright student, denied the opportunity to study further. She was denied that. But Lancet, a hell of a lot of instant experts on suicides. Lancet has gone and pronounced that rural India's suicides are highest, correct? But farmers are lowest because of how they are defining farmers. They don't have a definition of farmer in that study. Okay. And incidentally, some of your great academics from Columbia are equally stupid and make equally stupid contributions to the debate. One of the national myths we all suffer from, one is India is a deeply spiritual and non-violent country. The amount of violence we have, 30 other countries together would be hard to sustain. Yeah. But we also, another myth about ourselves is we think we are a nation of farmers. You're not. Jagdish Bhagwati and Arvind Panagaria, head of the Niti Ayog, which my friends in Tamil Nadu called Niti Ayog, because it is such a worthless organization. They write in their book, farmers' suicides are lowest. Yes, 3 lakh farmers or 2 lakh farmers may have committed suicide. But 53% of Indians are farmers. It means that the great dons of Colombia don't know who a farmer is. 53% of the Indian population is engaged with agriculture or dependent on agriculture. That doesn't make them farmers. Let me put it this way. Everybody in the industry called Bollywood is not a hero. Right? Yeah? Everybody in Bollywood is not an actor. Actors are the smallest percentage of Bollywood. For every actor, there are 1,000 light boys, sets people, workers, stage builders, prop makers, all of them. Correct? So everybody in Bollywood is not an actor, and everybody in the education industry is not a student. There are millions of people, karamcharis, tailors, everyone involved in the education, publishers, textbooks, all of it which goes into the education industry. Everyone is not a student and everyone is not a teacher. Everyone in agriculture is not a farmer. Do you know that a definition of farming in agriculture includes forestry and fisheries? Okay, it includes forestry and fisheries. Any guesses for what that main cultivator, what percentage of your population is it in the 2011 census? Any guesses?
5.
Just under 8%. Now suppose we add marginal farmers, all those who work less than 6 months but do farming, comes to 10%, 9.9%. If we add every agricultural labor in the country, it comes to 24%. But they're not farmers. Right? So you see how the mischief is. What intensity the suicides have is whether you say 300,000 on 8% of the population or 300,000 on 53% of the population. That is the mischief. Understand? Yeah? You get it?
Yes.
So then the ratio will fall. My point is that all these methods are idiotic. You cannot take only one measurement. You have to take at least 4 kinds of measurements. One, you have to take the population of farmers and also note that the population is declining fast, which means that the same number of suicides next year is a higher ratio than this year, because it's on a lower population base. Second, you have to look at absolute numbers. Third, you have to look at percentages. Why do you have to do all of this? Because suppose you take only percentages. Suppose Beverly Hills or Malabar Hill in Mumbai, or Beverly Hills in California. One farmer commits suicide. That's 33% of the total number of farmers in Beverly Hills. That is the highest rate of suicides in the world. So you can't take just percentages. You have to take percentage, you have to take ratio, you have to take total population, you have to take ratio of non-farmers to farmers' suicides. When you take that, 5 states in India show the worst figures. Now 6, because Telangana is a separate state. In order, they are Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Now Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. That is the order. These 6 states account for 2/3 of all your farm suicides. In 1995, they accounted for 50%, they've gone to 69%, which suggests that the crisis is growing. What is common in these places? Old green revolution technologies with new BT technologies. Old methods of